Hello. Today General Hospital will reveal exciting details on Thursday, August 7, 2025. First, Anna had always been a woman of many connections. She knew how to navigate through the web of relationships that came with her line of work, always balancing the delicate nature of trust and manipulation. However, despite the many people in her life, she couldn't help but wonder if anyone would truly be there when she needed them the most. Recently, Anna had uncovered a chilling secret, one that tied together her fears and suspicions about Vaughn and Jocelyn. It turned out that their relationship ran far deeper than she had imagined. But that was not the worst part. As she dug further into her investigation, Anna discovered something far more dangerous. Jocelyn had been secretly involved with the WSB, the very organization that had caused Anna so much pain in the past. This revelation not only shocked her but also filled her with a sense of impending doom, knowing that a person so close to her had been swept up in something far more sinister. The weight of this discovery was more than Anna could bear alone. She knew that Carly, her trusted confidant, would be the only one who could understand the magnitude of the situation and perhaps help her put together the pieces. Anna's plan was to confront Carly, to lay out everything she had uncovered, hoping that together they could find a way to protect Jocelyn and bring the truth to light. However, fate had other plans. Before she could take action, Brennan, who had been keeping his own dark secrets, learned of Anna's findings. Desperate to protect the truth he had worked so hard to hide, Brennan resorted to the only solution he could think of: he kidnapped Anna. The woman who had always been one step ahead was now at the mercy of someone far more ruthless. Brennan's intention was clear: to silence Anna before she could reveal the damning information. As the hours passed, Jason grew increasingly anxious. He had been trying to reach Anna, but all of his attempts had been unsuccessful. When he received word of Anna's disappearance, a sinking feeling in his gut told him that something was terribly wrong. Jason's mind raced as he retraced her steps, trying to piece together any clue that might lead him to her. It didn't take long before he found the first signs of a struggle: a broken piece of glass on the floor, the remnants of a phone call cut off in the middle. The realization hit him hard: Anna was in danger, and it was up to him to find her before it was too late. The deeper Jason dug into the investigation, the clearer it became that Brennan was the one behind Anna's disappearance. But what Jason didn't know was how far Brennan had gone to cover his tracks. He had left no stone unturned in making sure Anna was out of the picture for good. As Jason followed every lead, he knew that time was running out. With each passing minute, the chances of finding Anna alive grew slimmer. But Jason wasn't someone to give up easily. His resolve was steeled, and he knew that Anna's life depended on him acting swiftly. The clock was ticking, and every decision he made from that moment forward would be crucial to her survival. Meanwhile, Anna was locked away, isolated from the world she knew and loved. Her captors were relentless, keeping her in a hidden location where escape seemed impossible. But Anna was not a woman who would go down without a fight. Her mind was racing with strategies and plans, searching for any opportunity to outsmart her captors. She knew that Jason would not rest until he found her, and that thought gave her hope. The battle had only just begun, and with Jason on her trail, Anna knew she had a chance. As the days stretched on, the tension between hope and despair hung heavy in the air. Would Jason find her in time, or would Brennan succeed in burying the truth forever? Second, Ava had always struggled with trust. After years of betrayal and heartache, it had become almost impossible for her to fully open up to anyone, no matter how genuine they appeared. This insecurity led her to put her relationship with Rick to the ultimate test. She knew that Rick had been by her side during their darkest moments, but doubts had begun to creep in. Was he truly committed to her, or was he merely playing a part to get what he wanted? Ava's mind was clouded with these thoughts, and rather than confronting Rick directly, she chose to test him instead. She thought that by creating a situation where he would have to prove his loyalty, she would either confirm her fears or find the reassurance she desperately needed. Little did she know, this test would set off a series of events that would shatter her world. While Ava was consumed with testing Rick, she found herself drawn to Cody. He was charming, attentive, and completely different from the emotional complexities of Rick. His flirtations were irresistible, and for a brief moment, Ava allowed herself to be swept away by his attention. What she didn't know, however, was that Cody wasn't just interested in her for the sake of romance. Christina, with her own hidden agenda, had paid Cody a considerable amount of money to deceive Ava. Christina's plan was subtle but devious. She wanted to destroy Ava's trust in others, to make her doubt everyone around her, especially Rick. Cody had become a pawn in a game much larger than Ava could ever imagine, and while she basked in the attention, the foundation of her trust was silently being chipped away. As Ava became more entangled with Cody, the cracks in her relationship with Rick deepened. She began to notice that Rick was withdrawing from her, becoming more distant and less engaged in their relationship. It wasn't long before she realized that Rick's heart was no longer fully with her. Worse still, she discovered that Rick had been growing closer to Liz again, the very woman who had caused so much turmoil in their past. To make matters worse, their daughter Molly was supporting this rekindled connection, which only intensified Ava's feelings of betrayal. The news hit Ava like a blow to the chest. She had already been vulnerable, torn between her growing attraction to Cody and her lingering feelings for Rick, but this was the final straw. The thought that Rick, the man she had been trying to build a future with, could turn back to Liz was almost unbearable. In a whirlwind of emotions, Ava's anger and frustration reached their peak. She couldn't let Rick go without finding out the truth. She decided to take matters into her own hands, testing Rick in a way that would force him to make a choice: stay with her or go back to Liz. It was a dangerous game, one that would either confirm her worst fears or lead to reconciliation. Ava's mind raced as she plotted the perfect scenario, one that would force Rick to show his true intentions. She thought she was ready for whatever outcome came her way, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of what happened next. When the moment of truth arrived, Ava's heart sank as Rick's actions confirmed her deepest fears. Instead of fighting for their relationship or reassuring her of his commitment, Rick's response left her in shock. He didn't hesitate, he chose Liz, not Ava. The betrayal stung more than anything she had ever experienced. Despite her best efforts to test Rick, it was her own heart that had been tested, and the result was far worse than she had anticipated. The man she had loved, the man she had hoped would choose her, had instead decided that his past with Liz was more important than their future together. Ava was left in the aftermath, reeling from the shock and trying to make sense of the painful truth that had been laid bare before her. Third, Brook Lynn had always been a woman of conviction, but the weight of her past choices had begun to haunt her. The decision to put her child up for adoption was something she had made in the heat of the moment, believing it was the best thing for her child at the time. However, as time passed and her life evolved, the regret began to creep in. Brook Lynn found herself at a crossroads. She knew that until she could reconcile with her child, she couldn't fully move forward. The pain of knowing that her child was out there, living a life without her, was a constant ache. But the path to redemption wasn't clear. The thought of seeking forgiveness from the child she had abandoned was terrifying. She needed to make amends, but she couldn't do it alone. Amidst this turmoil, Brook Lynn turned to the one person who she believed could offer some guidance and support: Sonny. Sonny, as the grandfather of her child, held a special place in Joe's life. She knew that he was someone Gio trusted deeply, someone whose wisdom and influence could help repair the fractured relationship between mother and son. Despite the complexities of their own history, Brook Lynn saw Sonny as her best hope. She was at her lowest, and the weight of her decision to withhold her love from her child had pushed her to seek Sonny's help. She shared her secret with him, revealing the deep pain she had carried in silence for so long. She explained that she had made the choice to not accept the adoption of her child until she had done everything in her power to make amends and earn the trust of Gio once more. Sonny listened intently, understanding the depth of Brook Lynn's struggle. He knew how much Gio meant to her, even if their relationship had been strained by the years of separation. Sonny had always been a protector of his family, and while he had his reservations, he could see the sincerity in Brook Lynn's eyes. He knew that it wasn't just about fixing a broken relationship, it was about offering her a chance at redemption, a chance to reclaim the love and bond that had been lost. After some contemplation, Sonny made the decision to help. He agreed to assist Brook Lynn in reconciling with Gio, even if it meant navigating the complicated terrain of their past and the delicate balance of family loyalty. Sonny's commitment to helping them heal was more than just an offer of assistance. It was a promise to help Brook Lynn rebuild what she had lost, step by step. However, the road to reconciliation was not an easy one. Brook Lynn knew that Gio had suffered because of her absence, and she also knew that his trust in her had been shattered. Gio had grown up in a world without her, and that void had left a lasting impact on him. His trust had been broken, and the distance between them had only grown as he matured. Brook Lynn also had to confront the tensions in her own marriage. The rift between her and Chase had become more pronounced over time, especially after the constant arguments that had eroded their connection. Chase had been blindsided by Brook Lynn's past choices, and the emotional distance between them had made it even harder to heal. Brook Lynn was aware that she had lost his trust as well, and she knew that before she could heal her relationship with Gio, she needed to make amends with Chase. But first, she had to find a way to connect with her child, the one person she had neglected for far too long. Brook Lynn's journey was one of painful reflection and difficult decisions. But with Sonny's support, she began to take the first steps toward mending the bond with her child. It wasn't going to be easy, and there would be many obstacles along the way, but for the first time in a long while, she felt like there was hope. Sonny's involvement was a lifeline, but it was up to Brook Lynn to prove to Gio that she was truly committed to being the mother he deserved. The road ahead was uncertain, but Brook Lynn was determined to fight for the love and connection that had once seemed so out of reach. Fourth, Jordan and Laura sat in the dimly lit room, surrounded by files and notes, their minds racing as they pieced together the disturbing puzzle of Sidwell's intentions toward Sonny. It wasn't just a matter of a rivalry anymore, Sidwell was playing a dangerous game. The tension between Sidwell and Sonny had escalated to a point where it was clear that Sidwell didn't just want to hurt Sonny, but to destroy him. Both women knew that Sidwell was ruthless and calculating, with no hesitation in taking drastic measures to eliminate anyone who stood in his way. Laura flipped through the notes, comparing them to the events that had unfolded in the past few weeks. There were eerie parallels. Sidwell's actions and the incidents that had shocked Sonny were not coincidental. The pressure Sonny had been under, the unexplainable misfortunes, and the sudden betrayals were all too perfectly timed to be a series of random events. It was becoming painfully obvious that Sidwell was orchestrating this, pushing Sonny to the edge in a game that could only end in tragedy if not stopped soon. Jordan, who had managed to dig deeper into Sidwell's past, had uncovered some terrifying pieces of information. Sidwell had been pulling strings behind the scenes, setting traps for Sonny that were as much psychological as they were physical. Jordan's instincts told her that Sonny was more in danger than anyone realized. Sidwell was not just a threat to Sonny's business empire, he was aiming for his life. Jordan had seen this before, the cold calculation in Sidwell's eyes, the way he manipulated those around him with precision. She had managed to gather some chilling details. Sidwell had made alliances with dangerous people, promising them rewards for delivering Sonny to him, but his ultimate goal was far darker. The more Jordan uncovered, the clearer it became that Sidwell's obsession with Sonny had turned deadly. Sidwell didn't just want power. He wanted revenge, and Sonny was at the center of it all. As the pieces began to fall into place, Laura and Jordan knew they had to act quickly. They couldn't let Sidwell's plans come to fruition. Sonny's life hung in the balance, and they had no intention of letting him become another casualty in Sidwell's ruthless quest for control. They devised a plan to weaken Sidwell's position, a strategy that involved both cunning and stealth. Laura, with her vast experience and understanding of people's motivations, would work the angles, trying to get close to Sidwell and manipulate him into revealing more of his intentions. Jordan, on the other hand, would use her connections within law enforcement to gather intel and create leverage against Sidwell. They needed to find something concrete that would turn the tide in Sunny's favor. Their plan was risky, but it was the only option they had. They knew Sidwell was watching Sunny's every move, waiting for the right moment to strike. Laura and Jordan had to stay one step ahead, anticipating Sidwell's moves before he made them. They were playing a dangerous game, but they were determined to protect Sunny at all costs. As the tension between Sidwell and Sunny grew, the stakes were raised. One wrong move, and everything could come crashing down. But with the information they had gathered, Laura and Jordan were ready to fight back. They would not allow Sidwell to win, not while Sunny's life was still at risk. They would stop him, no matter the cost. With their plan in motion, Laura and Jordan knew they had to act fast. Sidwell was growing more unpredictable, and his patience was wearing thin. It was only a matter of time before he made his next move, and Laura and Jordan were determined to ensure that it would be his last. The clock was ticking, and every moment brought them closer to the confrontation that would determine not only Sunny's fate but the future of everyone caught in Sidwell's web. As the pieces of the puzzle came together, Laura and Jordan steeled themselves for the battle ahead, knowing that the outcome could change everything. They were ready to take down Sidwell, one way or another. Finally, Emma paced nervously in the dimly lit room, her heart racing with each passing second. The weight of the news she had just uncovered pressed heavily on her chest. Anna, the woman who had always been a pillar of strength and guidance in her life, was missing. She had been kidnapped, and Emma had no idea who was behind it. The feeling of helplessness was overwhelming, and Emma couldn't bear the thought of what might be happening to Anna. She had tried reaching out to everyone she could think of, but no one seemed to have any answers. Panic set in as Emma realized that time was running out, and Anna's life could be in grave danger. She needed to talk to someone who would understand the fear she was feeling, someone she could trust. In a frantic rush, Emma picked up her phone and dialed Trina's number. Trina had always been a steady presence in her life, someone she could count on when everything seemed to fall apart. The phone rang twice before Trina picked up, her voice calm but concerned as she answered. Emma didn't waste any time with pleasantries. Her words came out in a rush, a flood of emotion and panic spilling over as she explained everything she had learned. Anna had been taken, no one knew where she was, and there were no clues to lead them to her captors. Emma's voice wavered as she spoke, the fear clear in every word. She couldn't stop shaking, couldn't calm her racing mind. Anna, the woman who had always been there for her, was gone, and Emma had no idea how to find her. Trina's voice was steady and reassuring on the other end of the line, trying to offer Emma a sense of calm in the midst of the storm. She listened intently, her concern growing with every word Emma spoke. Trina knew how much Anna meant to Emma, how much she relied on her. She could hear the panic in Emma's voice and knew that her friend was terrified. But Trina also knew that they couldn't afford to let fear take control. Emma, listen to me, Trina said, her tone gentle yet firm. We're going to find her, okay? You're not alone in this. We'll figure this out together. Trina's words, though filled with concern, carried a sense of confidence that Emma desperately needed to hear. For a moment, Emma felt a small sense of relief, knowing that Trina was there for her. Emma took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but the fear still gripped her. But what if we can't find her? Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. What if she's already gone? The thought of losing Anna was too much for her to bear, and Emma's voice cracked as she spoke. Trina, hearing the raw fear in her friend's voice, felt a surge of determination. She wasn't going to let Emma fall apart, not when they still had a chance to find Anna. We have to stay focused, Trina said, her voice filled with resolve. We'll look for every clue, we'll talk to the right people, and we won't stop until we find her. Anna means too much to all of us. We won't give up on her. Trina knew that they couldn't waste any time. Anna's disappearance was not just a personal loss for Emma, but a potential danger that threatened the lives of many. With each passing moment, the stakes grew higher, and they had to act quickly to uncover the truth behind Anna's kidnapping. Trina and Emma agreed to meet up in person to discuss their next steps. They would put together a plan, make calls, gather information, and reach out to anyone who might know something. Time was critical, and they couldn't afford to waste a single second. Trina reassured Emma that they would find Anna, even if it meant going through every lead with meticulous care. As the two friends met up, the sense of urgency in the air was palpable. Emma could see the determination in Trina's eyes, and it helped to calm some of the fear that still lingered in her chest. They made a list of possible places to start their search. Anywhere that Anna could have gone or any people who might have information. Trina promised to reach out to her contacts in law enforcement, knowing that they would need all the help they could get.